Welcome back to the Plus Side of Nashville. You know, for over 92% of deaf children born to hearing parents, here's an interesting fact. For a variety of reasons, the vast majority of their parents never learn American Sign Language. And here to talk more about that from the organization Bridges for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing is the organization's president, Nancy Brenning Martin, and the vice president of Interpretation Services, Eric Workman. And Eric will be interpreting for us for the entire rest of this show. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
So Nancy, as I mentioned, a lot of folks, the people that you serve that cannot hear, have had parents who don't know sign language.
Yes.
How difficult has that been, and how can they communicate with their children?
Well, I think it's incredibly challenging for the parents and for the families because oftentimes that diagnosis in the hospital was unexpected, and they're unprepared and unfamiliar with really the vibrancy and the strength of the community. And you're sort of inundated with a lot of medical information and a lot of medical fixes for deafness, and not presented maybe with the full range of options that really exist. And so our message to those parents is you have time and you have options, and we're happy for you to contact us and let you meet families who've made all sorts of different choices, from being culturally deaf and using American Sign Language to getting the cochlear implant and what that may or may not mean for you and your family. Just a wide variety of options if your child is diagnosed with some hearing loss.
And you offer free American
Yes.
Sign Language classes.
We do. We have free American Sign Language classes for the children, for the parents, and for the siblings. Really anyone in that immediate or close family, because we want to encourage communication. We want to support the families, give them as much opportunity to bond and feel confidence. We have some wonderful earlier intervention programs that start at birth and run through school age as well, so that there are classes in our center you can come to and learn about parenting a deaf child, some great techniques, learn the language, learn how to bond as a family, and a deaf mentor component where someone comes into your home every month and works with you in your home environment.
You all are reaching every avenue of this whole situation that you can. I read too, deaf children need both American Sign Language and English, which are two separate and unrelated languages, which I don't think a lot of people know. How do the two differ?
So American Sign Language is obviously, it's a visual language, a 3D language, but it has its own grammatical structure, its own syntax, all of the things that you think of any language like English. It was originally derived from French Sign Language, so a lot of the word order is different, the way you develop a verb tense is different. It doesn't have verbs of being, so no am, is, are, were, those sorts of words. But it's a beautiful, beautiful expressive language, completely realized. And then English is of course a second language for our community, and they're going to learn it in a written form and learn to read English, but it is a second language, and so that presents its own challenges.
I can see that. The deaf and hard of hearing community have a lot of challenges, I think, that the Hearing Society is not aware of, and there's often some misconceptions. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have?
I think of two right off the bat. I think the first is that deaf people desire to be hearing. And there are some folks who want to have certain levels of hearing or to have hearing restored if they can, but by and large, the deaf community is very happy. They believe this is how God made them. They're not impaired, not disabled in any way, and have their own language and culture and are perfectly content. So for them, they don't aspire to become hearing. I think a lot of people think they do. Historically, and even still today, we run into really some ignorance about what it means to be deaf, and assumptions about intellectual capacity, the ability to hold a job, to parent successfully, and those really are misconceptions born of a lack of exposure to this wonderful community.
I'm so glad you cleared that up for us.
Thank you.
You all provide services to Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, lots of services. We've talked about American Sign Language classes, but what are some of the other services you provide?
Well, we have a vision that starts at birth and runs through elder years, and so we're trying to touch and support people at every stage of life. So we have the early intervention services I mentioned, with the classes and the family support. Once children hit school age, we have a wonderful after-school program that runs 3 days a week. It's focused on language acquisition, so ASL and English, and a lot of literacy components. We have a parent group where deaf parents of hearing children and hearing parents of deaf children are together and socializing and interacting, supporting each other. We have a case management program. It's our empowerment program. So we're working on jobs, so employment issues, advocacy, access issues, housing, food security sometimes, different things, adult education and outreach, which is offering a fitness program, American Sign Language classes for the community, working with employers and training them, doing a lot of cultural and language outreach to let people know about our community, let people know about the needs or the rights of the community. And then interpreting services. Eric, who's interpreting for us today, is our Vice President of Interpreting Services, and we are the largest ASL interpreting service in the state. So we're providing about 25,000 hours of interpreting services every year.
Wow, so lots and lots of services that you're out there providing. We got to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to learn more about Bridges and all the great work that they're doing, so stay with us.